He fought away, baby. Fever down. Bow.
Man, I think it's the next step up mentality as far as players. Our shifts keep changing. Everybody doing a different role, and so I think we all got the mentality where you give and you sacrifice, and I think that's what y'all see.
Everyone came to see Caitlin Clark. That was the headline, the hype. The reason over 20,000 fans packed into the arena. But when the superstar was ruled out just before tip-off, most assumed the Indiana Fever were doomed. Instead, what happened? Next became one of the most powerful moments of the WNBA season. Not only did the Fever win without their most famous player, but veterans ALIYA Boston and KELSEY MICTHELL stepped up, took control, and dropped post-game statements so bold they sent shockwaves across the league. This wasn't a fluke. This was a warning.
Finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing, and I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. Anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Yeah, I think for us, it's about knowing that basketball is a game of runs, and they made their run that third quarter, and honestly, just continue to stay composed and take it each possession at a time is something that we've been working on. And so for us, that was our focus: is get a stop, go down and score, get another stop, and we try to get a kill.
This was supposed to be the game the one fans had circled on their calendars since draft night. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers, the #1 pick from 2024, versus the top pick from 2025. The future of the WNBA center stage. So loud, so electric, that the Dallas Wings moved the game from their usual 7,000-seat arena to the massive American Airlines Center, home of the NBA's Mavericks. Over 20,000 fans bought tickets, many paying premium prices for a chance to witness history. But just 2 days before tip-off, the narrative cracked wide open. Caitlin Clark's groin injury flared up again, and suddenly, the marquee matchup everyone was counting on was in jeopardy. Fever head coach Stephanie White made it clear they weren't going to risk their star's long-term health just for one night of hype. That decision, while medically sound, left fans frustrated and skeptical. Social media erupted with disappointment. Commentators started doubting whether the Fever could even compete without their franchise centerpiece. And to be fair, those doubts were justified. Just one night earlier, Indiana had been blown out by the Los Angeles Sparks. The team looked flat, disjointed, and utterly lost without Clark running the show. The offense stalled, the defense crumbled. ALIYA Boston barely got touches. It was the kind of performance that screamed, "This team can't function without her." So when game day arrived in Dallas, most people expected a disaster. Fans showed up bracing for disappointment, assuming the Wings would steamroll a tired, outmatched Fever squad. The media prepped their Indiana collapses again. Headlines. But what happened instead wasn't just surprising, it flipped the entire season on its head. Because without Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever didn't crumble, they ignited. When a team loses its biggest star, most coaches play it safe. Stick to the system, hope for damage control. But Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White didn't follow that script. She ripped it up and made a move nobody saw coming, inserting Ari McDonald into the starting lineup for the first time this season. It wasn't just a lineup change. It was a complete identity shift. McDonald hit the court like a lightning bolt. From the opening tip, her energy was undeniable. She pushed the tempo, she attacked the rim, she created lanes where there were none. And within minutes, something remarkable happened Indiana couldn't miss. The Fever hit their first 7 shots in a row. That's not just hot, that's historic. The Wings were stunned. The crowd was confused, and McDonald, she looked like she'd been waiting her whole career for this moment, while Dallas scrambled to adjust. Ari kept breaking their defense apart. She wasn't just scoring, she was creating chaos, opening up space for her teammates to thrive. KELSEY MICTHELL started finding clean looks. ALIYA Boston, who had been starved for touches the night before, was suddenly feasting down low. The floor spacing looked smoother, the movement sharper. It was like the absence of Clark forced the Fever to rediscover how to play as a team, and it worked. By the end of the first quarter, Indiana had exploded to a 33-13 lead. Let that sink in. A 20-point advantage, against a team that was supposed to bury them? And the most shocking part, Ari McDonald went perfect from the field in that opening stretch. Perfect. Her stat line didn't just make a statement, it shattered expectations. This wasn't survival mode, this was something completely different. It was bold, it was fast, it was fearless, and it proved that Indiana had way more weapons than anyone thought. Just when it looked like Indiana was about to cruise to a blowout win, Paige Bueckers decided she wasn't going to let the night slip away without reminding everyone why she was the #1 overall pick in 2025. With the Dallas Wings trailing by 20 and the crowd growing restless, Bueckers locked in, and what she did over the next 2 quarters was nothing short of legendary. She started dissecting the Fever's defense like a surgeon. Pull-up jumpers, backdoor cuts, no-look assists, she made it all look effortless. Slowly, the gap began to shrink. The Wings fed off her momentum, and the crowd that had been stunned into silence early on started roaring back to life. The Fever's commanding lead dwindled. What had looked like a celebration started feeling like a trap by the time the 4th quarter rolled around. The lead had shrunk to single digits, and Paige Bueckers was putting on one of the cleanest performances in league history. When the final stat sheet dropped, jaws hit the floor. 27 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 0 turnovers. That had never been done before in WNBA history. Not by any rookie, not by any veteran, nobody. It was the kind of performance that changes narratives, that wins games, that launches careers into superstardom. Bueckers didn't just show up, she dominated. And for a moment, it felt like the Fever were about to let it all slip away. You could feel the tension building. Fans in the arena were on edge. The Indiana bench looked tight, the same signs of collapse that haunted them in previous games. Hesitation, missed rotations, stagnant defense started creeping back in. It was the exact kind of momentum shift that often dooms teams who rely too heavily on one missing superstar. But this time, something was different, because instead of falling apart, the Fever dug deeper. And that's when KELSEY MICTHELL made her move. With Paige Bueckers breathing down their necks and momentum swinging violently in Dallas's favor, the Indiana Fever needed someone to take control. And that's exactly what KELSEY MICTHELL did. No panic, no flash, just pure poise and veteran instinct. Mitchell had already been cooking early in the game, but the 4th quarter was when she turned into the cold-blooded closer Indiana didn't know they needed. While the Wings focused on stopping McDonald's penetration and denying Boston inside, Mitchell read every defensive shift like a seasoned chess master. She didn't force anything, she commanded the floor. Pull-up threes, mid-range daggers, and slashes to the rim with perfect timing. Every time Dallas trimmed the lead, Mitchell responded with a silencer. At the end of the night, her stat line said it all. 32 points on 11 of -17 shooting, 7 assists, and 0 panic. But stats alone didn't capture what she gave them. She gave the team belief. What made her performance so impressive wasn't just the numbers, it was how she led. While younger players might have cracked under the pressure of a collapsing lead and 20,000 hostile fans, Mitchell did the opposite. She slowed the game down when needed, pushed the pace when the opportunity opened, and found open shooters when double teams came. She orchestrated every possession like a conductor, keeping her teammates engaged and confident. This was the same player often overlooked in the media's obsession with Clark, the same veteran who had been grinding in Indiana long before the headlines came, and now she was showing the entire WNBA that the Fever weren't just about one star. They had a closer, they had a leader. Mitchell didn't say much on the court, she let her game speak. But after the win, her post-game words would echo even louder, because what she said next, it didn't just defend her team, it challenged the entire narrative. After the game, the cameras swarmed KELSEY MICTHELL. Everyone wanted the same soundbite. How did the Fever win without Caitlin Clark? But instead of deflecting or sugarcoating, Mitchell leaned into the moment and dropped a statement that sent a ripple through the entire league. She looked straight at the reporters and said, "People better start learning our whole roster." It was calm, direct, and undeniably loaded in that one sentence. Mitchell didn't just celebrate a win, she issued a challenge to the media, who often fixates solely on Clark. a challenge to fans who show up in jerseys for one player but forget the names of the women beside her, and a challenge to the league, which is just beginning to realize how deep and dangerous this Indiana squad really is. She wasn't bitter, she was clear. The message: this team is not a one-woman show. Mitchell has been through every losing season, every rebuild, every coaching change. She's watched teammates come and go, and she's seen the spotlight shift away from her year after year. But now, after leading her team through one of the most hyper-sure wins of the season, she was making sure no one overlooked them again, and the response was instant. Social media lit up. Clips of her quote went viral. Some fans praised her confidence. Others accused her of shading Clark. But Mitchell's intent was never to divide, it was to demand respect. For herself, for Boston, for McDonald, for the team that just proved they could win when it mattered most. She wasn't wrong. Without Clark, the Fever played united, fearless, and dynamic. They didn't just fill the gap, they redefined it. But if Mitchell's statement shook the room, what ALIYA Boston said moments later would stop everyone in their tracks. Because her 6-word response didn't just summarize the night, it defined the future. As the noise settled and the interviews continued, it was ALIYA Boston's turn to step up to the microphone. Fresh off a 21-point, 9-rebound performance, she had every right to talk about her game. But instead, she delivered a moment, one that captured the entire spirit of the night in just 6 unforgettable words. Every game is a home game. Simple, powerful, and absolutely spine-chilling. Boston wasn't just talking about the Fever's performance, she was honoring the wave of Indiana fans who had traveled hundreds of miles to pack the Dallas arena. From tip-off to buzzer, their voices echoed through the building, drowning out the home crowd and fueling every Fever run. And Boston felt it. Every basket, every stop, every roar. It wasn't a road game, it was a takeover. Became the rallying cry. Clips of her statement flooded social media. Broadcasters repeated it. Fever fans put it in their bios. It didn't just reflect one game, it symbolized a movement. This wasn't a team carried by a single player. This was a team carried by belief in each other and in their growing army of fans. Boston's words had a deeper meaning to it. She reminded everyone that people might come to games for Caitlin Clark, but they leave falling in love with the whole team, with her toughness inside, with Mitchell's fire, with McDonald's speed. That's what true team culture looks like, and Boston knew exactly what she was doing by putting it into words. That moment wasn't just post-game filler, it was a turning point. Because with one sentence, ALIYA Boston reframed what this franchise stands for. She made it clear, the Indiana Fever are not defined by who's missing, they're defined by who shows up. And if every arena feels like home, good luck trying to stop them. What happened in Dallas wasn't just an upset, it was an awakening. For most of the season, the Indiana Fever were treated like a one-star show, a traveling Caitlin Clark tour, with a few names around her to fill the roster. Media outlets ran highlight reels of Clark's step-back threes, buzzer beaters, and laser passes, often cutting away before showing who finished the play. Fans bought tickets by the thousands, hoping to see their favorite college superstar make history again. And while Clark has lived up to the hype, what the Fever did without her proved something far more important. They're no longer a one-dimensional team. They're a problem for the entire league. The win over Dallas pushed Indiana's record to 8-8, placing them firmly in the middle of the Eastern Conference playoff race. That might sound modest, but considering how the season started, it's a huge leap forward. And they didn't just squeak by the wings, they dominated for long stretches, fought through adversity, and finished strong when it counted, all without their most talked-about player. That kind of resilience doesn't just happen overnight. It's the result of veterans like KELSEY Mitchell owning the moment, of players like Ari McDonald stepping into the spotlight with zero fear, of ALIYA Boston evolving into not just a rising star, but a leader with a voice that carries weight. These aren't sidekicks. These are core players who found their rhythm, and now their confidence. When Clark returns, and she will, she's not stepping into a desperate, struggling lineup hoping she can carry them. She's returning to a team that just proved they can handle the fire. That's dangerous, because now the Fever have multiple scoring threats. Now defenses can't just focus on Clark. Now, Indiana can run with pace, slow it down, work inside. or attack from the perimeter, and they've proven it. Meanwhile, other teams are watching. Coaches are scrambling to update scouting reports. Commentators are having to eat their early season predictions. And fans, the ones who came for Clark, are leaving with jerseys of Mitchell and Boston. The Fever's identity has shifted. They're no longer waiting to be great. They're building something real right now. And if they're already this dangerous without their superstar, what happens when she's back at full power? Fans came to Dallas expecting Caitlin Clark to be the story. Instead, they witnessed the birth of a team that no longer needs headlines to matter. KELSEY Mitchell's leadership silenced doubters. ALIYA Boston's 6-word declaration ignited a movement. And the Indiana Fever didn't just win, they redefined who they are. This wasn't about surviving without their star. It was about thriving as a unit. Mitchell and Boston proved they can lead. Ari McDonald proved she belongs. And the Fever proved they are far deeper, tougher, and more dangerous than anyone imagined. When Caitlin Clark returns, she's not joining a team waiting to be saved. She's stepping into a machine that's already rolling. 1. Game 1 bold win, 2 unforgettable statements. The Indiana Fever didn't just change the scoreboard. They changed the narrative permanently.